They said I wasn't family enough to sleep inside. It's what my mom whispered when she handed me a blanket and pointed toward the cold, dusty garage. My cousin Emma, who had just flown in for the weekend, was curled up comfortably in my room, the one I'd spent years decorating, the one with my name on the wall. Before we go on, if this already made your heart drop, hit that like button, share, subscribe, because what happens next will leave you speechless. I stood there, barefoot, holding my pillow, staring at my own house like I didn't belong. In it, my dad didn't even meet my eyes. "Don't make a scene, Aria," he muttered. "Emma's our guest. Be grateful, grateful, for being kicked out of my own bed." I didn't say a word, just nodded, walked out, and curled up in the garage where the air smelled like gasoline and old paint. I didn't cry, not yet. I just stared at the ceiling and made a promise to myself. One day they'll beg to be let into my world, and I won't even need a room to prove it. That night, shivering on a cold mattress, I opened my laptop and typed the first lines of something no one knew I'd been building for years, a digital startup, a project I'd kept secret. Because deep down, I already knew. They never saw my worth, but soon the world would. And the best part? That same cousin, sleeping in my bed. She'd unknowingly play a big part in what happened next. 2 weeks later, I heard them laughing in the living room, my parents, Emma, and a few relatives. I walked in quietly to grab a glass of water, but the moment they saw me, the mood shifted. Emma smirked and said, "Still wearing those knockoff sneakers, Aria?" The whole room chuckled. My mom didn't defend me. In fact, she added, "You should ask Emma for style tips. She knows how to look presentable." I smiled, not because it was funny, but because they had no clue what I had just done the night before. I had launched my platform, quietly, an AI-based research tool. Spent 3 years building in secret while doing odd jobs and freelancing. And within hours of launch, the emails started coming in. 2 investors, a tech blogger, and a licensing inquiry from a Fortune 500 company. But did I tell anyone? No. I went back to the garage that night, sat on my folding chair, and watched as the user count grew. My heart was pounding, but I kept my silence, 'cause I knew the higher I climbed in silence, the louder the fall would sound. Okay. When they finally realized, and the first crack in their perfect little family bubble came the next morning at the breakfast table, when my dad opened the business newspaper and saw something on page 4, something that made him freeze. My dad's hand trembled slightly as he stared at the article. He didn't say a word at first, just kept reading the same lines over and over, like he couldn't believe them. My mom leaned over his shoulder. "What is it?" she asked casually, sipping her coffee. He didn't respond, just turned the paper slowly so the rest of the table could see. Right there, in bold print, local tech prodigy Aria Reynolds launches disruptive AI tool backed by Silicon Valley giants. Emma choked on her juice. "Wait, Aria. That's O-U-R Aria." She laughed nervously, waiting for someone to tell her it was a joke. No one did. My uncle squinted at the headline, then at me. "Is this real?" he asked. "This Aria." I didn't look up from my toast. "Yes, that's me." Silence. It's the kind that presses on your chest and makes the air feel thick. My mom blinked rapidly. "You made this?" When I took a slow sip of my coffee and smiled. "While you were busy redecorating my room for Emma, and during those nights I slept in the garage. You could hear the forks drop." My dad cleared his throat. "You didn't think to tell us?" I looked directly at him for the first time in days. "Would you have listened? Or would you have told me I was wasting time again?" He didn't respond. He didn't need to. The look on his face said everything: regret, confusion, panic. But that wasn't even the best part. I pulled out my phone, opened the dashboard app, and turned it toward them. "Oh, and by the way, investors just closed the first round of funding this morning. $4.2 million valuation. I now own 82%. My cousin Emma still sitting in my bed upstairs like she owned the place." Suddenly, didn't look so shiny anymore. But I wasn't done. The company's growing fast. I've hired a legal team, a product manager, and my office space. Opens next week, downtown. I paused just to let the silence breathe. So I'll be moving out. My mom's face fell. Wait, Aria, you're leaving? I was already gone the day you chose Emma's comfort over your own daughter. That line, it cracked something deep. But what I didn't know then was that my departure would uncover a much bigger secret they'd been hiding. It's one that would turn this family into a war zone. The night before I moved out, my mom knocked on the garage door like it was a stranger's home. She stepped in, looked around like it was beneath her, then whispered, "Can we talk?" I didn't get up. "Now you want to talk." She sighed. "You blindsided us, Aria. You should have. Told us what you were working on." I looked her dead in the eyes. "You told me I was a burden. You let Emma take over my room. You laughed when I said I wanted to build something. How would I share anything with people who treated me like I was invisible?" Her eyes welled up, but I didn't flinch. Tears of hurt don't go away in one teary apology. "You always had your head in your laptop," she said. "We thought you were wasting time. You never asked what I was doing. You assumed I was nothing. Now that there's money, now that there's headlines, now you want to care." She stayed silent. The next morning, as I packed my things into a sleek black car my company had just leased for me, my cousin Emma came storming out of the house holding her phone. "Why is everyone tagging me in articles about you?" she snapped. I turned, calm and collected. "'Cause they remember how you used to laugh at me, made fun of my clothes, called me the failure cousin. Guess the internet doesn't forget." She rolled her eyes. "So what? You've got a little money and suddenly think you're better than us." I tilted my head. "Not better, just different. I build things. You take selfies. We're not the same." That stung. I could see it in her clenched jaw. My mom stood at the porch watching it all. And then, out of nowhere, my dad walked out with a thick envelope in his hand. "Before you go," he said quietly, "you should. See this?" I hesitated, but took it. Inside was a stack of old documents, financial records, handwritten notes, and a trust fund agreement. My trust fund. One I never knew existed. I scanned the top page and felt my knees weaken. My grandparents had set aside $300,000 for me when I turned 21. But when I turned 18, my parents transferred it to Emma. They had forged my signature. "What is this?" I shouted, my voice shaking. My dad looked down in shame. My mom gasped, clearly seeing the papers for the first time too. You gave it to Emma." "She needed help for college," he muttered. "You didn't seem like you were doing anything serious. We thought she'd make better use of it." I laughed, cold, bitter. "You stole my future and gave it to the person who humiliated me in my own home." Emma backed away, realizing what was happening. I didn't know it was hers. They told me it was extra savings. But it didn't matter anymore because I wasn't going to beg for it back. I already had more. What I wanted now was justice. And I had just the plan. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just smiled because at that moment I realized I held every card. My past, my pain, my betrayal had all become leverage. And I was about to flip the entire table. That same afternoon, I contacted my legal team and sent them the trust fund documents. "Do we have enough to pursue action?" I asked. My lawyer didn't hesitate. "Forgery, theft, breach of fiduciary duty, we can file both criminal and civil charges. And if Emma spent the money, she'll be liable too." Am I? Dad called me 12 times that evening. Didn't pick up. My mom sent a text. "Please don't ruin the family over this." It's funny, they didn't mind ruining me, but I didn't go public right away. Instead, I crafted a quiet, strategic plan. I leaked the truth to a trusted journalist anonymously. The story ran on all local news platforms within 48 hours. Young tech founders' trust fund stolen by her own parents' funds diverted to cousin's education. The backlash was instant. My family's friends, neighbors, coworkers, they turned cold. My dad lost a promotion. My mom stopped getting invited to her social luncheons. Who had just started her social media fashion career, lost sponsorship deals overnight. But I wasn't done, because what they didn't know was that I had already bought the house. That's right, using the funding from my startup's second round, which had now pushed the company valuation past $11 million. I had quietly purchased the home they were living in. They'd sold it to cover debts they didn't want anyone to know about. And it had gone through a shell company I owned. So the day I showed up at the front door, papers in hand, and said, "You'll need to vacate in 30 days," their faces turned to stone. "You're evicting us." "Ka?" my dad whispered. "No," I replied. "I'm taking back what's mine." "Ka, you just happened to be in the way," Emma screamed. My mom collapsed onto the porch swing. "Ka!" My dad stood frozen, defeated. I didn't feel guilty. Not for a second, because this wasn't revenge, it was redemption. Today my startup is expanding into Europe. I've built a community for young women in tech. I speak at universities where professors once said I wouldn't make it. And I sleep in a penthouse where no one dares to call me a failure. They tried to lock me in the garage. Instead, I built an empire. And the best part? I didn't just win. I did it quietly, brilliantly, and completely on my own terms.